I've just renewed my Now TV subscription in order to watch A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. That's the latest Game of Thrones spin-off. Episode 1 opens with the main character Dunk, that's short for Duncan, burying his master on a rainy, windswept hillside and saying some words over the grave. It's very poignant, atmospheric and sad. And then the next morning, as he gets ready to move on, we hear the start of the thrilling Game of Thrones music. And we see Dunk, there's no nice way of putting this. We see him doing his number twos. Goodness knows what he'd been eating. A vegetable curry and a few pints of Guinness, judging by the effect. I mean, talk about a change of atmosphere. But then I remembered, you know, that opening scene of the first Shrek movie, when Shrek takes a shower in something pretty disgusting. Maybe they're going for a Shrek vibe. And then later, Dunk says, arse, just like Father Jack. Maybe they're going for a Craggy Island vibe. Anyway, episode 1 gets going and Dunk hits his head a few times. Slam dunk? No. Short people might find that funny in a slapstick way, but for those of us of a proper height, it is our lived experience. And don't get me started on airline seats. Anyway, then at the start of episode 2, in a flashback scene, we see Duncan's boss, Sir Arlan of Pennytree, doing his number ones. And the thing he's got in his hand, the thing he's urinating with, it's just immense. I mean, clearly it's a prosthetic or a CGI. I mean, it would shame a stallion. A thing like that, you'd have to have your clothes properly made. And as for his armour, he'd need not so much a cod piece as a great white shark piece. Also, it can't be real, because if it was, the actor is in the wrong line of work altogether. There's a whole other genre of audio-visual entertainment. I mean, not one I know much about, but I read an article about it in the Spectator magazine. And anyway, if that thing was real, the actor in that scene would have spent his career in that particular branch of the video industry and would be world famous. And then at the start of episode 3, we see a horse unpacking its lunch, if you get my drift. And I was starting to think, is this going to be a signature of the show? Every episode's going to start with a bodily function. You know how shows start with a recap and there's a little skip recap button and then the titles appear and there's a skip intro button? Maybe A Night of the Seven Kingdoms needs a skip bodily function button near the start. Mind you, a lot of shows could do with a skip sex scene button. Watching all that is of no interest to me. No more than seeing Sir Duncan take a dump, Arlan of Pennytree spending a penny, or a horse being coursed. Just get on with the story. And to be fair, they do. Duncan and his squire, young Egg, go to a tournament. And the setting for the tournament is very good. It's a very muddy area with lots of tents, lots of people, outdoor cooking going on. A good sense of everything being cold and wet. Took me back to my days as a scout leader. Anyway, there's also their ale shops, a blacksmith, a puppet show, and awful lords, either in the castle or in their big tents, being a bunch of raucous yahoos. And Dunk and Egg are finding their way around all this as the relationship between the two of them builds, and it builds well. And the jousting scenes are excellent, very well put together. Now, I've just watched episode 4, and that didn't start with a bodily function, but towards the end, there was a loud and prolonged fart. Yeah, quite impressive. Episode 5 isn't out yet as I'm recording this. Maybe it will feature someone being sick, perhaps. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is a good show. Main characters are well cast, the show is well directed, good story, good production values, and no dragons. Dragons do rather tend to dominate, don't they? So my message to the makers of the show is please, please don't mess it up. You ruined Game of Thrones halfway through the final season. House of the Dragon season 2 was just weird. There's supposed to be a season 3 this summer, so I'll review it then, but I'm waiting with low expectations. So let's see if, just for experimental purposes, you can make a show and not spoil it. And as for the bodily function scenes, just wipe them out. They're not needed.